Hi, welcome back to Cubs and Culture for January 15th, 2018. Okay, so I want to first talk about the solution proposed by the commissioner's office, which I think is absolutely bad. um, I'm not going to get into the details of the proposal because the details are. If you're going to do this proposal, the way in which they have it set up is actually fair, and that's not really my concern. My concern is sort of an aesthetics thing. Is they want to add a pitching and a batter's clock and a pitcher's clock, which basically the idea is you have basically like a play clock in football or basketball. And of course, there's two of them because you have to have them in sync so the batter can't take advantage of the pitcher being on a timer. Again, it was worked out. The way in which the rule is being proposed by the commissioner's office is fair, and I don't have a concern about that. My entire concern is, I think adding a pitch clock isn't like slapping the minimalist band-aid you possibly could on the project, on the alleged issue, and that, yeah, sure, it will probably shave off, time and might make certain things faster, but you're talking, again, the average length of the game now is 3 hours, and let's say the pitch clock is really successful, and it gets games down to 2 hours and 45 minutes, which, I mean, I think I'm being way over the top, with that. But the thing is, so let me just grant it will give 15 minutes faster pace. The thing is, one of the things that's unique about baseball, is that it's measured in outs and innings and outs, and that it's not measured by minutes and seconds. So it's the only sort of, now there are sort of clocks already. There's a 30-second clock for reviewing individual plays. There's also the 2 minutes and 30 second clock between innings. So it's already true that the clock has been introduced into the game, so that that ship has sailed. The reason why a pitch clock bothers me is it's so it's an aesthetics thing that for the most part there isn't really a clock in the game, and it's going to annoy me because then that's sort of one of the defining features of baseball, and there's other ways of accomplishing the same sort of what the pitch clock is going to do is not what you gain in faster, shorter games, you lose in sort of aesthetical purity, and it's not actually, again, getting at the fundamental issue of pace of play in my mind, which is the way in which the proliferation of 3 true outcomes is happening, and the way in which super bullpens have been limited, effectively making the game 6 innings long. Okay, so then the other one. Okay, so then that's one that's probably coming this year. What came last year, which I think is absolutely neutral, that it's just what the hell, okay, sure, fine, whatever, is of course the no pitch, intentional walk, where instead of walking, having to throw the 4 pitches, you just say, take your base. It's fine. It's been implemented. It was a little bit weird the first couple of times you saw it, but the thing is, in 2016, the average length of the game with that rule in for 2017 games were, I believe it was 30 seconds faster on average because of that rule. So whatever. Okay. Now the other sort of rule he's proposing, which I think is really would be good, are limit the number of mound visits. And again, okay, so I do not understand why mound visits are a thing, given the sort of technology we have today. So mound visits happen. Okay, some of them are unavoidable because the manager is taking the pitcher out. So that's fine. That's moving the sport along. It's the mound visits between pitching coach and catcher. So maybe you need to keep the one for the pitching coach because you can only visit once per inning before taking them out or something. So that one's fine. But it's the ones in which basically catchers and pitchers are getting together 3 or 4 times on an inning. This is one of the reasons why Game 5 and with the World Series is so much as McCann and Barnes were just a big number of pitching changes, and then also they had to keep getting together. Like, I don't understand, like, we have these things called microphones and headsets, and yes, I realize that you have to, like, avoid tipping pitches, but there's gotta be a way, technologically, like, different channels or something, and it's where they can just use walkie-talkies, so you don't have to literally go out into the mound. And maybe it's the thing where it's not actually controlled by either team, where it's the umpire has a give a heads I don't know, like give the headset to the home plate umpire and then have like a speaker on the mound so the catcher doesn't have to go out there. You can just say into the phone, so they can get on the same page for the signs. With that being said, yes, maybe you need to give people charts or something. Yes, there's a way of protecting, pitches and pitch selection where you don't have to visit every fucking 5 minutes to get on the same page as signs. So yes, I'm perfectly fine with trying to limit the number of mound visits. But again, I don't think that's going to fundamentally shift it. Okay, so my first, for the sort of actual solution, because the pitch clock I think is awful, and the mound visits, well, yes, they should happen, limit them. I don't think that's really going to fundamentally get at the problem. So my first major proposal, and I think everyone would mostly be okay with this, is just require every single pitcher to face 2 batters or close out an inning. Okay, if they come in at the beginning of an inning, they must face 2 batters. If there's a pitching change on the second out, then they only have to complete the inning because otherwise you're going to have to. The idea is to try to limit the number of pitching changes. So there's going to be a way of phrasing it where like having a new guy come in at the start of the 7th is not the problem. The problem is when individual innings are all broken down into 3 outs and 3 different pitchers. So like there's this bullpen guy called a loogie, which is left-handed 1 out only guy. That type of relief pitcher should not be allowed. And so however you want to phrase it to cut down on the number of mid-inning pitching changes is what my suggesting. I think just saying 2 pitchers, every pitcher must face 2 batters or complete 1 or finish the inning should be fine. So there's that. Then the other sort of thing is right now on most rosters, you have 12 position players, sometimes 13, 5 starters, and then 5 from 12, 8 relievers, 8 or 9 relievers. If we simply said that for the rosters, you're allowed to have what's 5 plus 7? 5 plus 7 is 12. Okay, let's say 6. So you're only allowed to have 11 pitchers. And therefore you're only allowed to have 6 relievers. Okay, that you specifically say that you're only allowed to have so many relievers, and then of course, or pitchers on your roster, and then of course structure the 40-run roster, where the idea is so like or I guess even just limiting it to number. So the idea is you limit the number of relievers allowed in the bullpen, so each reliever has to be more. That you, in essence, you can't have 7, 8, 9 power pitchers. You need to have every pitcher able to go a couple of innings. So you stop having the structure of seventh inning guy, setup man, closer. So you just limit the number of relievers on the roster. So here's the thing. I'm willing to put up with a pitch clock in the sport if those two rules happen. Because those two rules, I would do far more to actually change the issue, which is making the play stagnant. Now, some other sort of crazier ideas, of course, I'll cover in the next section because I just realized how long I've been talking. So see you in part 3. See ya.